Hare Krishna. Okay, so let us begin. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnana-jana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahyam Dadati Swapadam Vandeham Shri Shri Yuta Padakamanam Shri Gurun Vaishnavasya Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunathambitam Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadvitam Haridana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devi Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prachari Nirvishesha Shuddhavadi Pashyadadeshapari Namahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradaya Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namini Gaurasvishe Namaha Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Taptakanchana Gaura Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Sharvanu Sute Devi Pranamami Nilachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadra Vyam Shri Jagannathaya Te Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyeva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum nangayate girim Yatkripātamaham vande Shri Guru Dīnatārinam Paramanandamādhavam Shri Chaitanyam Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So today we are discussing the chapter 2 or the verse 2 of Nectar of Instruction. We will continue with the Nectar of Instruction. Today we will discuss text 2. Here, Srila Rupa Goswami is explaining what all items we need to take care of to prevent our bhakti from getting spoiled. Atyahara prayasasya prajalpo niyamagraha janasangasya lolyam cha shadbir bhaktir vinashyati. One's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities. First, eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. Second, over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. Third, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. Fourth, practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancements, or rejecting the rules of the scriptures and working independently and whimsically. Fifth, associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And six, being greedy for mundane achievements. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada is explaining in the purport. Prabhupada begins with that life is meant for plain living, high thinking. The Jiva Shakti uh, is Tatastha Shakti. It has to either take shelter of the Antaranga Shakti of the Lord or the Bahiranga Shakti of the Lord. So when one takes shelter under the Antaranga Shakti, then there is constant engagement in devotional service. That is explained in 913 by Mahatmanas to Bhagavatam Daivim Prakritimashritah Bhajanti Ananya Manaso Gnatva Bhujadim Abhyayam. So when one is under the protection of the divine nature, then there is full engagement in devotional service. Is that serving the Lord is broad-mindedness. Serving one's senses is cripple-mindedness. So either personal or extended, Prabhupada is saying the basis of the activities on the material plane is sense gratification. Either person is gratifying his own senses or the senses of a broader community, family, society, caste, community, so on, country. So now Srila Prabhupada is saying that the main problem confronting the conditioned souls is the repetition of birth, old age, disease, and death. Even for the maintenance of the body and soul, one has to work hard in this world. So now the question which Prabhupada is raising is how can one perform such work in a way that is favorable for the execution of Krishna consciousness? Even to upkeep the body, work has to be done. But how to perform that work in a way favorable? Because everyone needs food, clothing, shelter, and all that. So there the first principle comes that one should not collect more than necessary for his actual basic needs. And Srila Prabhupada is saying if this principle is followed, then there will be no difficulty maintaining the body. So maintenance of the body can sap away all our energy of life. It has the potency. It is like to sap away all the energy of our life. But to maintain the body, one has to work hard. The body will not be maintained automatically. So therefore, the first principle comes as in plain living is not to succumb to atyahar. Collecting more than necessary. So uh, that verse also, Labho Jive Yavata. the jivas, yeah, that the senses should not be fed. Kamasya na indriya priti labho jivet yavat. Jivasya tattva jigyasa. Life is meant for tattva jigyasa, self-realization. So therefore, one should not work to pamper the senses, uh, but one should do only that much endeavor uh, which is necessary to keep the body and soul together. That's all. So one should not collect more than necessary. That is called as adhyaha. One should not eat more than necessary. So we have to see that, you see, the whole point is that human energy is very limited. And our life is very limited, our capacity is also very limited. Therefore, one should not waste one's energy endeavoring for something which is superfluous. To maintain the body and soul together, not much is required. There are some people they cook 6 hours a day. That falls in the category of Madhyahar. Why? Because for taste, people want to make very fancy and complex items. Cooking can be done in 1 hour also. Especially if one is okay, one is cooking for more number of people, it may take some time, so ticketing, dishwashing. For one person, 2 person, one can just cook once in a day and eat 2 times. That's it. Nothing more is required. We just put some grains, some vegetables, boil it, some salt, some basic little bit spices. That's it. Done. What one needs? Some grains, some vegetables, then take some fruits, some milk, finish. So, what is a need? But we will see when we complicate the same thing complicated. It takes so much time just for the sake of taste. Just for the sake of taste. The same thing we complicate it just for the sake of taste. It takes so much time. To boil the vegetables doesn't take much time. No? But you want to make some caricatures out of it, some very complex things out of it. Like you see, lagi sabji if we make in 45 minutes we can make it. 1 hour we can make it. With sabji cutting and everything. It's easy. But if one wants to make a kofta out of it, finished. Huh? 3 hours.
Prabhupada is saying that when 1 hour Pura feast, like Prabhupada himself to feast in 1 hour on special occasion. It's not okay.
Yeah, but then there are complex preparations will take a lot of time. Like that. If one wants to eat aloo, one can just boil the aloo and put some spices and take it, or one can, but if but people want to take aloo inside a samosa, and that takes a lot of time. That's going to take a lot of time. So that's going to take a lot of time, right? So, uh, uh, interestingly, so the point is, and aloo, what is one frying? One is just frying the cover lid. The inside is already boiled before. So those kind of things take a lot of time. One wants to make but simple one wants to do. Life is very simple. So therefore, you see, our eating should be even if it is complex. The other day, the last time when samosa prasad was made, I was taking that. It was not some. I mean, the taste was also too distinct. It was aloo, prominently aloo's taste, and some fried up kind of some, that kind of a taste. Prominently, it was aloo. Then I was just thinking, you can just take aloo chop. So much endeavor, so much endeavor, like that. So therefore, we see make the things so complex. Then what is the fun of it? You guys saw in uh, Boston, we were cooking this noodles, rice noodles, noodles made out of rice. Better we can eat rice. Better one can take rice, no? What what do we mean? I mean, a better one can take rice and sabji, but just for the sake of some fineness of taste, and one complicates one's life so much. It's more costly, rice noodles. You know, rice will be less costly. Rice takes less time to make. How much time rice takes to make? You can make it within half an hour. No, you just need a proper vessel and a proper chula. Rice is easy. No, but one wants to complicate. So therefore, we see that one has to save. We need to save time to engage in Krishna service. Therefore, eating more than necessary, collecting more than necessary. Srila Prabhupada is giving, reading 16th chapter, 116.6 lecture. Prabhupada is saying that you see, collecting more than necessary. I'll give an example. Prabhupada said, for example, you're making a temple in Vrindavan. Now we can take money, but use it in service. And that also Prabhupada is saying at Bihar, how it is. Prabhupada is saying, suppose the temple in Vrindavan requires 50 lakhs. The Prabhupada said, then we should collect only 50 lakhs, not a cent extra, Prabhupada said. We need for Krishna's temple 50 lakhs, just collect 50 lakhs, not a cent extra. That extra cent will be Adhyaha. So whatever is the need, we just take it. That much only we were. Huh? So Prabhupada said, even for the point of view of, and therefore Prabhupada said, and we collect money to spend for Krishna's service, not to keep it in the bank. Prabhupada said. I was saying, we collect money, whatever money is collected, we spend for Krishna's pleasure and Krishna's service. Not holding it in the bank. That is Atyahar. Why you hold it in the bank? It will pollute the mindset. Shampoo also says many things. We should not save too much money in the bank. Why? Because you put money in the bank, it will pollute the mindset. Money wherever it is held, it pollutes the mindset. So a lot of contamination. Therefore, you should burn it in the fire of Sankirtan. It is offered to Krishna. Hari Bol. Like that. You burn it in the fire of Sankirtan. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, so many Grasa devotees talk about the principle of what is that? Save money and put in corpus. Later, you don't have to work. Save money. So one has to be very careful about that. One has to be very careful about that. What care one should take is that how much one is saving. What is the limit to what one is saving? What is the limit to what one is saving? So that has to be decided. Many times, so not that one is going on holding and holding and holding. So many times devotees are not able to set a limit. The limit has to be basic minimum. To keep the body and soul together, nothing more than that. That's it. So the but devotees go on and on and on and on and on and no limit. That's all Atyahar. You see that is Atyahar. Rajesh Babu told us very simple. He said, as a grahastha, you can keep you earn till the time you have 1 CR Indian rupees, not dollars. Uh, 1 CR will come out to be $12,000. You know? Yeah, 12,000, 12,000, 12 lakhs, 12 lakhs. No? How much?
1 lakh.
Huh? 1 lakh. Hey, 1 lakh, yeah, not 10,000. Yeah, $1 lakh. Something like that. There are devotees who can earn that in 1 year. The problem is what they stay in a flat with just $5,000. They have a car which was purchased $40,000, so they have to pay $3,000-4,000 for that. So then the whole money goes here and there in the drain. So therefore, the principle of simple living is very important. One can be liberated in 1 year working like that. Raishampu told us. No? And Raishampu is not telling Rupa Goswami standard. Shampoo is telling very down to earth, I mean, very modern standard sort of. He told us once here, good. And in that he said, you see how much your parents are going to give, and then accordingly decide how much more is remaining for you to take it. Sometimes, yeah, Shampoo told us. So now I understood. Because my parent many times they say that okay, if you take a flat, we'll give you 50 lakhs. If you do something, they'll give you 50 lakhs. 10 times they have told me 50 lakhs. If you take a car, we'll give you this. So at least I know they'll give me 50 lakhs. Then all what we need is just 50 lakhs. Yeah, that's it. So now, now one will say, no, 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 no. What about children are there? Actually, we don't need earning for children. We need to give sanskaras for children. Bhakti Charu Maharaj says that many times children, devotee children, they don't pick up Krishna consciousness. Why? Because their parents are not setting the right example. You just cannot say you become devotee. But then they are seeing very diluted example in the life of their own parents. So when they don't see a dedicated example, they are not going to take a Krishna consciousness. So many times, this is what Bhakti Charu Maharaj is saying. Why devotee children don't become devotees? Because their parents are not setting a very dedicated example. And so they are seeing their parents day and night, in and out. They are seeing them in their free time. They are seeing them every time, like that. They are seeing whatever their parents are doing. So then, unless they see a dedicated example, they are not picking up themselves. See, Prabhupada picked up from his parents. Why? His father was so dedicated. Therefore, Prabhupada says that my father had only one business. That was Krishna consciousness. He happened to be a cloth merchant. That was some extra detail in his life. But his main business till 2 p.m. he would be just worshipping the deities. Post lunch he would go to this thing, and night again he would come back. So he would hardly was hardly obsessed. So therefore, this principle of atyahara has to be understood. See, why we should not, why we don't need money for our children is because you see, every child comes with his or her own karma. We don't need money for children. If we keep money, we spoil them. We have to give a very dedicated example. We have to give them time. We have to give them training. So first thing the children need is a very dedicated example. First thing the children need, dedicated example. Whether the parents are doing morning program or not. That is the first point. And cannot just go on sleeping and tell the children, you become Krishna conscious. Why should they? So that is what is required. So secondly, you see, a greater help is to make people stand on their feet. A greater help is to stand on their feet. not to give them supporting staffs to stand. So if we give to our children a lot of money in the bank balance, we are simply giving them Baisakhi and making them what do you call that? Apahaj. What do you call it? Uh, Handicap.
Handicap.
It's simply making them handicapped by saving money for the children because we have to make them responsible. So what is the question of lakhs and lakhs of rupees for the children? No question only. Education is free. Education means that which should be free, and not like that. That is the principle, and not like that. What is the need to send children to non-government colleges? If they don't have the qualification, that's okay. Whatever they're qualified, they can do that. What is the point in? So that is where the entire molestation of the society happens. Like if the children are not qualified to crack NEET, and people pay 1 crore rupees for their admission into what is this called as MBBS, and that is where we see the whole society gets spoiled. Now 1 crore rupees is spent. That means this fellow is not qualified. That means somehow or the other will pass. He or she will pass MBBS. Then again for MD they need 1.5 crores. Then again for setting up a clinic for this fellow they will need money. Now this person, the whole family has spent 3-4 crores for this fellow, and now this fellow will, it will take 5-10 years for this fellow to get back that much money which was put in, and then they feel that okay, so much money is spent, now I need to earn, so they become exploitative. Therefore, for a small thing in medical science, they are charging lakhs of rupees, and they are looting and cheating the people wholesale. Why? Because the people are entering with the wrong motivation. So whatever one should be qualified. My father was not a devotee, but he taught me a very nice principle. He said, whatever you want to be in life, you should be on your own merit, not on my shoulders. He never gave me pocket money. He never sent me for tuitions. He never sent me for any tuitions. So, uh, no correspondence, no mock series, no nothing, direct IIT JEE exam, no mock series, no here, there, no nothing. Actually, so he said, whatever you want to do, and he told me, you have only one chance. You're at the end of 12th, you tell me what all exams you give, I'll pay for it. Wherever you get selected, you're going there. If you get selected somewhere, I'll pay for your fees for next 4 years. And I'll pay for your fooding and hostel for next 4 years. After that, Hare Krishna. And he said, if you don't get selected, at the end of 12th, your fooding, your lodging, everything is finished. This is what my father had told me. Stand on your feet. He was not a devotee. But this is a very good principle. It was a very good principle. So I was very economical for my parents. Whole my engineering, I didn't had a laptop, I didn't had a mobile. I was computer science, 9 pointer. So you see the point, Atyahar. You see, many times, even in tradition, these principles are very much ingrained. Atyahar, a luxurious, cozy life is against the fabric of spiritual steadiness, of focus. Even if it is a girl child, still one doesn't need to have save money, because there's no much difference between a boy and a girl, and especially for girls, they need to go for higher education for their own upkeep in society, for their respectability in society. Girls should be sent for higher education and higher training so that they stand on their feet. Then only they'll be respected. Otherwise, the males think that girls are meant to be servants, and then they're meant to be objects to be exploited. Therefore, girls should be more higher educated than boys, so that they can stand on their feet, so that they don't marry so that somebody can take care of their fooding and all that. That is not the purpose of marriage. But then they will be exploited. Then they'll be badly exploited. That's why women are exploited. Even a girl child has to be trained, and there is no question of any kind of no money for the marriage and all that. Such a money monger fellow should be given tight slap on his face and thrown out. One who thinks he can make money in marriage. So that is like selling a girl to a butcher. Better than that, she remains unmarried and no, she remains no, working and no, serving the society in that way. So we have to understand what is one holding money for? What is it that one is holding money for? Like that. And everybody comes with their own karma. We should give them character, not money. So parenting doesn't require money. Parenting requires character. Many times you see children don't need toys. They need some engagement. Children can be happy playing with anything. I know my father taught me gardening. I was so happy growing tomatoes and cauliflowers and cabbages and all that. That was my toys. I was so happy collecting different kind of leaves. That was my toys. Yeah, yeah. I was so happy going, here and there, all around, getting rock samples, studying rock samples, different kinds of rocks, granites, and different kinds of granite rocks, soil samples, and all that. Uh, that is because, okay, I was born brought up in hilly area, but then that was my father's proclivity. He would just take me around here and there, everywhere, because he would just, no, he was very happy roaming around, and so I would go anywhere. I would get different kinds of. I would see and study different kinds of trees, and in that belt there are trees which have wooden kind of fruits, pine and all those trees. I would collect those fruits, the decoration items and all that. So everything for free. Where is the costly toys like that? Huh? All these costly toys. So children don't need much. It is how we orient them is what matters. So it is how we orient them is what matters a lot. That way. Only one thing I regret my father didn't teach me. No, he was dead against it. Uh, he never allowed me to learn music. I was so much inspired. I so much wanted because he just felt that this fellow should not become no, singing and playing some music on the side of the road. So my mother's side, everybody, was very expert in playing a lot of instruments and all that. So, anyways, coming to Krishna consciousness, learn a little bit. So the whole point is that you see the principle of Atyahara. We don't need facilities. We need so family does not need facilities. Family needs warmth. Warmth comes by dedicated Krishna consciousness. So that is why one has to uh, So the right things are, so that is why this principle of Atyahar is very important when we plan anything. When you plan a project, when you plan a family, when we plan our own lives, Atyahar. One should not accept anything what one not use. So too much artifacts, too much, all that is Atyahar. Life should be very simple. We don't need much. So we don't need much. Uh, because the more we keep, the more we have to spend time in maintaining it. Isn't it? The more we keep, the more we have to spend time maintaining. So time and energy has to be kept in maintaining it. Therefore, so many times the nature of collecting is that one feels like collecting more and more and more. Therefore, Brahmana would not collect and would not store. If he gets extra than what he needs, he would donate it. A Brahmana would not store money in the bank. So now in our no, modern day scenario, when we think of taking, so one should keep it to a basic minimum. Because now the whole point is because the next principle which comes is that now, for the sake of collecting and storing more and more, one has to work harder than normal or natural balance. Then life is going to be unbalanced. So many times the reason of unbalanced life is atyahar. And to maintain the atyahar, one has to do prayas. To maintain atyahar, one has to do prayas. So one should not go in a very one should not go in a very showy kind of a. So many times even devotees they get lost in the show business, status quo, show business. It's useless. In New Alipur itself, Ideal Exotica 3 crore, 4 crore, one flat, 1,000 square feet. And if you walked up to Charu Market, there was a rental place where we used to stay. Uh, there, the same flat, which is 3 crores at Exotica, is 50,000, 50 lakhs, 50, 55 lakhs, same square feet. How much distance? 7 minutes walk. Same area. Same area. No? But in one sense, good because the sabji market was just outside. You just walk out, the sabji market is there, grocery shops are there, no? Charu Market, that place. So in one sense, good, closer to the metro, closer to the main road, and one-sixth of the price. So you see the status quo, people get lost into it. Huh? And Exotica will have 10,000 maintenance charges. Minimum 10,000, 15,000 maintenance charges. There, no maintenance. What maintenance? No maintenance. You know? So, like that, no maintenance. No, maybe 500 rupees for the cleaner to clean the staircase. That's all. Uh, so like that. So that is why one should not hold. One should be very, very. We will see sometimes like you see our KGP, no, KGP is this place only. So, like you see, this KGP place, what we have built, uh, this is this is a little inside. How much inside? 3 minutes walk inside. But you will see in land costing and all, if you want on the road, the price will be 6 times. This much inside, 1/6 the price you can get it. 1/5, 1/6 the price you can get it. Like that. Why do we need a 40 feet road in front of us? Is it not? We don't. You know? A two-wheeler can come here. That much is good enough. You know, like that. So little bit here and there. So by little, we see a little bit cautious we are, a little bit cautious we are, a little bit cautious we are. We can save a lot of energy. We can save a lot of time. Devotees also say we should never take a loan in life. Whatever we make, whatever we need, we should do it with whatever ready capacity we have. That much is good enough. That much is good enough. Like even in Calcutta city, one can get a 1 BHK, 2 BHK flat in 10 to 15 lakhs also. Calcutta city. Calcutta city. Yeah, one can get it. You know? And what is the need for spending 1 crore? 12 lakhs. 1 BHK can get it in 12 lakhs. So you see, in this place, Newtown, if you want a flat in this DLF, it's 1 crore. You know? DLF Elita. If you take the same flat in Sapurji, it will be 30 lakhs. A village is more or less. In that village, it's more or less, yeah. In that village, it is more or less. So, in that village, it will be more or less. And that village is just 10 minutes cycle. So, same locality, but there is a huge difference. DLF on one, what to say, 40,000 rental. Elita 30,000, like that, Sapurji 15,000, in that village 7 to 10,000. Same 3 BHK. Same 3 BHK. So it all depends upon. I mean, that village is not a village. I mean, it is fine only. It's just fine. It has so many. So this is how Chandramukhi Prabhu was staying. 3 BHK and 10,000 rupees. Same 3 BHK and DLF is 40,000 rupees. So little. So therefore, we see not too much. One doesn't have to go too much out of the box and go and stay in some forest in a hermitage. No, that much is not required. A little bit one can control oneself. A little bit one can control oneself. Then similarly, vehicle. Even if one has to purchase a car, you can purchase a car in 5 lakhs also. Good one. 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs. Good one. One can spend 80 lakhs also for a car. Same thing. Yeah. 80 lakhs also for the car. The same thing. In US also we saw in $4,000 you can get a car. It will last 10 years. $4,000 you can get a car. You can drive it 100 miles every week also. No problem. 100 miles, 200 miles every week. That much one can get a car. And $4,000 one can get a car. But then they are devoted, they're taking a car at $50,000. $40,000 cost. So you see, then life becomes complex. Then one has to earn that much money. Then that much less time we have for Krishna. That is the point. So even we see uh, uh, I see so many places in the West also. Most of the temples are functional temples. Like Isgesiki Mahiti Prabhu was telling that most of the Western temples they are not very flamboyant. Most of the Western temples they are not very flamboyant. Only in India the temples are flamboyant. Like Juhu means thousands of crores of temple and all that. No, Thane like that. The Western world, nowhere, very few places such kind of no. Most of the temples were dilapidated. I mean, the churches on sale. Most of the temples were like that, and they are all functional units. It's a big hall, it's a nice space, a big space, and that's it. But it's not architecturally, some very out of the box kind of structures, like that. So Prabhupada didn't base it so much on that. That is why Prabhupada could expand so much. You see the point? Okay, some flamboyant buildings came up, but they were donated, like Manor, Fisher's Mansion, and all that. I believe they were the only two. The Manor, Fisher's Mansion, they were flamboyant, but they were donated properties. But Srila Prabhupada, so working more than necessary will happen if one is focused on Atyahar. Therefore, Atyahar Prayas is connected to each other. What we set as a goal is very important. Therefore, we have to question ourselves. Why do we need it for? What do we need it for? What do we need it for? Okay, Mayapur may require a flamboyant temple because it's ISKCON headquarters, world headquarters. Every day, every city is not a world headquarter temple is not required. No? Like that. So we see functional units, even as a temple, as an institution, one has to think. One has to think. Do we need such a huge no, temple? Do we need that? Do we have that much of capacity? I mean, do we have that many devotees? So many times, even temple, even fundraising devotees, they make it a point uh, that actually many times the expansion should come natural. Even even as a temple, that when the temple hall gets completely jam packed, filled up with devotees, that is the time and the need to expand the temple. So not that the temple is made that 1,000 people can come in, and in Mangalarti there are only 5 people. No, that is not required. So because then the whole energy will just go in fundraising. So rather it should be natural. Like you see, Sanatan Goswami, Rupa Goswami, they made temples, but how did they make? They were just worshipping and serving. Sanatan Goswami was preaching. He was the guru of the entire Vrindavan area. He was just happy preaching all around. And then when people came and then they themselves offered the money, he said, okay, build a temple then for the Lord. So they built the temple and gave. So that is like natural evolution of the temple. So these principles of Atyahara, one has to, from an institute point of view, also one has to keep it in mind. Otherwise, so much energy will just go in money. So the preaching will not take place. So one should not keep such a lofty goal which is beyond capacity. Prabhupada is saying in this lecture, when Prabhupada is saying about prayas, that suppose we make a temple of 50 crores, that time he was selling 50 crore dollars, something like that, then we'll be finished. It's beyond our capacity. We'll be finished. And the whole consciousness will go away in getting money, 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 and nothing else actually. So one has to be very thoughtful and set goals properly. So Atyahar is about setting the goals. Even for the preaching mission, one has to set goals properly. That what are we aiming for? What are we aiming for? And things should be very properly evaluated. And things can grow in their natural state. If Krishna wants, if Krishna sends, attracts such people who have a lot of money, they want to give, and then things become, that is fine. But when we are running around, we should run around more for preaching. More for preaching. That's the whole point. No? Should run around more for preaching. And slowly things should evolve. Otherwise, the whole consciousness will just go away in money. And so, so therefore, functional units, even as temples, one has to, even as institutions, one has to be very cautious about. So Srila Prabhupada gave a very balanced life to devotees. The life which Srila Prabhupada gave to devotees was morning, you perform sadhana, then after breakfast, Bhagavatam class breakfast, then devotees would go out for Sankirtan, book distribution, food for life. These are three things Prabhupada is done. Evening, everybody would come back. Gaurarti Gita class, Krishna book reading, and then take rest. That is the life which Prabhupada said. Prabhupada didn't set a life which is unbalanced. So therefore, prayas should not be there. Our giving of Krishna consciousness to others and our intake should be balanced. Yes. Question. Intake means one should have time for chanting one's rounds. One should read, one should have time for reading proper books. Suppose said, okay, distributing my books will make you happy, but reading my books will keep you alive. So a combination of both is needed. We cannot just go on distributing. So that's called as prayas. So extra endeavors, too much extra endeavor. That's called as prayas, which makes one unbalanced. You know? Many things can come in prayas. So anything we overdo, other than the balance given by the Acharya, that goes in prayas. Like sometimes, some devotees, temple residents, what they would do is that in the Mangalarti time, the morning program Mangalarti time, they are not attending the temple Mangalarti. They are out in the field. They are practicing Vedanta. They say, morning hours, very nice, That is prayas. Very, very detrimental. So why do we need so much skills? What do we need so much skills for? Prabhupada made a worldwide movement. What level of musician Prabhupada was? Very simple. Prabhupada knew, but not very this thing, not complicated and all that. So that's prayas. And I've seen it in my own eyes. On the field, the devotees are doing Mangalarti in the field. No, not Mangalarti, they're practicing. And Mangalarti is going on, Darshan of the Lord is going on. Very dangerous, very detrimental. Prayas. Sometimes the devotees get lost and caught up that way. Rajesh would be very strong on this also. Sometimes you see some technical skills and all devotees get caught up so much uh, like that. So Rajesh would not prefer that. We would say we should have a sound balance. Morning program is for morning program. Right? Like devotees working on some technical stuff, designing and all that. Even for Rajesh books, designing cover page and all that, whole night sitting and designing. Rajesh would not appreciate. He would say, what is this? It's not required. Yeah. One devotee was missing in the morning program, Japa time. Shampoo went up to the IWF building. He was in the computer room. He was designing the logo and all that. The designing the cover page. Shampoo was very angry. He said, "This is very bad. It's prayas. It's prayas." And then the devotee was fundraising. One day he was not seen in the Bhagavatam class. Next day Raishempu called him. That day only Raishempu called him. Raishempu said, give up the fundraising seva. Not required. We don't need. Not funds at the cost of spiritual life. We one day he missed Bhagavatam class. But Raishempu had to set an example. He had to train, he had to teach. So that's prayas. So sometimes, so we have to see, one has to very much, especially you see the problem is modern day material world things are very addictive, very degrading, and very captivating. Now the problem is many times to preach, and that also to at par with the outside people, one has to sometimes go on those fronts to a little bit, but it is very very dangerous. Like nowadays, there is a lot of addiction about social media, followers, and numbers, and all that. And people feel I'm preaching because I have these many followers and all that. No, no, not at all. So the number of followers doesn't determine how much we are preaching. It has no correlation whatsoever. It has no correlation whatsoever. Sometimes people are just spending hours and hours. It's something I think I need to put a charge. So, you see, preaching is all about giving time to devotees and cultivating. That's why you see Prabhupada like a mad man. Prabhupada was going all around the world. What for? It is so cumbersome to travel. We went once, no, you see, devotees went to the yatra. I think one third of the devotees fell ill. Now everybody is ill. No? So that way. So we see, that Srila Prabhupada is traveling all around. The personal time. No, you can think you can just put stuff on social media and people become devotees. Okay, then I like it. But Krishna consciousness is not entertainment, Prabhupada is saying. And then the lecturer, Krishna consciousness is not entertainment. It's not entertainment. It is so getting too much lost. See, what happens is that many times people feel that no, we need to speak and preach as per the people, but we have to be very careful how much intake we are doing. But sometimes people see no, and then people are seen reading management books more no, overwhelmingly, and just reading here and there books of this guru, that management, this management. Arey, our main book which you are supposed to read is proper purpose. So that's all. No, so that is prayers. Unnecessary, no, I need to know that field. No, we don't need to know it so much. Uh, we don't need to know it so much. It is prayas, atyahar prayas combo. Similarly, sometimes devotees they go off track. Let me learn Sanskrit. Okay, one can learn Sanskrit. Like I saw our Vishwambar Gaurang Guru was also learning Sanskrit. He said, there is one devotee, Vaksharmana disciple. He learned it. He gives half an hour class every alternate day or something like that, and I am learning. You know, this is very nice, very balanced. You see, this is the way how things have to be done. Even if one has to learn Sanskrit, he is learning from a devotee. How much? He said half an hour class at maybe every day or alternate day, something like that. That much is fine, no? That much is fine. But if one is doing 6 hours a day, for the next 6 to 8 years, just learning Sanskrit, what is the use of that much Sanskrit? Similarly, what is the use of that much music? Uh, like the other day, Muktavananda Prabhu had come to us and he said, these modern day Kirtaniya, the Kirtani is a brand, of devotees who have will have beards, different kinds of. They'll put different kind of no, uh, what is that earring and all, nose ring and mouth ring and I don't know what else. And they will have tattoos and all that, and they will no, they're kirtaniyas, they want to do kirtan all the time. And Mukhandan was so fed up, he was expressing that, it's so frustrating. He said they will sit all together and they will sing such complex melodies that nobody can follow. And people are just watching. Nobody is able to repeat because it's such a complex melody. It's such complex melody. The people think then it is a music concert show, so they are just watching. But that is exactly what Prabhupada didn't want. Prabhupada wanted simple melodies so that people can follow and they chant, not complex. So all that is Atyahar and Prayas, nothing else. We don't need that much. See, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was such a scholar. Where did he learn? He learned from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur books. He would read his father's books, that's all. Now, where did he learn from? He learned from his father. He learned from his father. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's books. Not that he was reading everything here, there, everywhere. No. So we have to be very careful. Similarly, these. Uh, so one may think, no, I need to know how YouTube, people who are trending, why they are trending, and all that. And one is spending hours and hours and hours and hours and hours in that, watching this, watching that, watching this, watching that. So we are losing and sapping a very vital time of our life. So prayas. So sometimes people are extra health conscious. One has to be careful. What is prayas? No? Okay, we can give some time to the health. How much time is optimum time? 2 hours a day is not optimum. It's too much. It is too much. Because even if you see the health literature, research literature, they say that okay, exercise you do till a certain limit, it's helpful. More than that you do, it's not helpful. That is true for running, that's true for everything. So but then some people are lost into yoga only. For 2 hours of yoga is only going on. And that's not required. 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour. Okay, good enough. One has to have a limit. Otherwise, we'll just go in a prayas zone, then unbalanced. If somebody says, no, I run 10 kilometers a day, it's not required. It's prayas. For the health, it's not required. At least for the health, it's not required. So, 2 kilometers good enough. 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers good enough. Even if one has to run, so 10, 15 minutes one can run. 15 minutes, 2 kilometers, 15 minutes one can run. 20 minutes, 15 minutes. Good enough. No much. So one has to be very careful. Similarly, uh, uh, so sometimes some devotees feel, let me learn some new skills. One has to be very careful in such regards also. Otherwise, one may go in a zone of again prayas. We don't have to learn new skills to further the mission of Krishna consciousness. Whatever we have learned, we can engage it in Krishna consciousness. But new extra material skills may be very, very taxing, very, very taxing, and will take a whole lot of our time. So, sometimes, so one has to be careful on that. Not that we venture into everything. Oh, now let me learn Sanskrit. Now let me learn this. Now let me learn that. A single person cannot expertise in everything as service, as service. But sometimes expertising multiple grounds in a very, very specialized manner may lead to a zone of prayers. May lead one to a zone of prayers. So yes, one can now take some focus of a service which is given to one and slowly learn more in it and grow in it. That's fine. But no, but that in a balanced manner. You know. But sometimes there is mindset. Any new fashion comes, people think, let me do it. Let me become an expert in it. Any new fashion comes, like a wave of music comes, people feel, oh, let me go very deep into it. You know? And then another wave of Sanskrit comes, people feel, no, let me become an expert in Sanskrit. Another time, some preacher comes, he's a super Acharya's expert. Let me read now Acharya's commentaries, everything and all that. No? So those kind of waves are very dangerous. Another wave comes of organic farming. People think, oh, now let me become expert in organic farming. No? Now let me become. See, everything requires a lot of energy. So we have to be very careful. Okay. What is it that we really want to take up? Too much endeavors in just acquiring skill and skill and skill and skill, not going to work out. So many times, like one may just get strayed off by fashions. And Krishna consciousness also there are a lot of fashions, but that may go in the zone of prayas. No, that may go in the zone of prayas. So, so similarly, even within the society of devotees, one should be very careful about fashions. So, otherwise, now, like somebody has expertise how to get too many followers on the YouTube, not like that. And then everybody wants to expertise that and learn that and practice that and all that. So we have to be very, very careful that okay, what service we are doing, what is and focus on that, not that here, there, everywhere, anything, everything, whatever wave comes, that thing. Another time, another person comes, a Krishna conscious entrepreneur, raised a temple through entrepreneurship. Then everybody wants to become entrepreneur after that. Oh, I'll become an entrepreneur. I'll offer 80% of my earnings to temple. I will open the temple through its earnings and all that. Everything has a lot of baggage associated. And once we dive into something, a lot of material energy one has to interface. Can we handle? How much we can handle? So, what is needed? What is the prime service which we are told to do? Which is the need of the project? And all those aspects are very important, and therefore one has to choose. And no matter one may choose to grow in one focus in a balanced way, but too much again it goes in the zone of atyahar prayas. So the next one is prajalpa. Yes, Prabhupada always gives this example of the frog croaking, inviting the snake. So we are speaking here and there subject matters. It just invites the snake of death, and we are wasting our human energy. Uh, So doing prajalpa is like putting holes in the boat. We'll sink very soon. You put holes in the boat, all spiritual energy. You who put holes in a vessel, all the spiritual energy gets drained out. Prajalpa. Many times the talk may start on in among devotees on a spiritual note. But just because practicing, but it may land up here and there. Therefore, we have to be very careful, especially when it comes to associating with equals. One has to be a little careful. Therefore, best is things are everything is time bound and well planned. Like we say, okay, let us meet for half an hour once in a week. You share what you have read and heard. I will share what I have read and heard. We will do it for half an hour. That is fine. But if we say, okay, let us meet for 3 hours, you share, I share, that will finish in half an hour. After that, Prajalpa. No? So therefore, because we are not at that level that we can discuss Krishna Gatha, no? Better be time balanced. Better have agenda, well planned. Not that we don't have to interact with anyone, but it should be well planned. Should be time bound. Otherwise, we will end up doing Prajalpa. Another aspect in Prajalpa is not to be over concerned about issues over which we don't have any influence. Many times people are too over concerned about what is happening in the world. So we become too over concerned, and then too much of talks in that zone. No, too much of talks in that zone that we should avoid. So especially nowadays with social media, too much of unnecessary time sappage happens. No, like that. Too much of unnecessary time sappage is happening. So we have to understand this is the age of Kali Yuga is the age of misunderstanding and misinformation. And rumors are the default code. And social media is very much expert in spreading rumors. And therefore, one has to be very careful that okay, even if some information we need, better take it from some authorized source rather than here and there fluffing around. Like say, for example, Bangladesh atrocities that happened on our devotees, like that. Lot of rumors are floating around. What was being floating around is that ISKCON authorities are not taking a stand, and devotees are this is happening, that is happening. A lot of problems are happening. Uh, hmm. And there were some devotees who were imprisoned. And later I asked about the whole thing to Bhakti Vasudev Maharaj. He's a member of Sabha also. He's a member of the Shastri Committee, Advisory Committee, Shastric Advisory Committee. Maharaj told that devotee had, uh, the devotee had done something wrong because of which everything had flared up, and many ISKCON had to pay a price for that. What wrong? He was trying to convert Muslims. We are not there for conversion. We don't stand for conversions. What was the need to touch? And there are enough Hindus to preach to in Bangladesh also. What is the need to touch? And he was fanatically trying to convert and all that, and that raised the fury of the whole thing, and they reacted in a bad way. So this was the whole issue. This was the whole thing behind. Now, nowhere we understand this, from social media, rumors and all that. We don't understand all this. We'll understand all this from the we ask an authorized person. I asked an authorized person. Maharaj was a member of the Sabha, the Shastri Advisory Committee. Then this advisory committee gives advice to the GPCs on various issues, what to do, what not to do from Shastri and all that. I asked from very authorized source. I can understand. So many times you see hours and hours and hours you may waste in something. And so similarly, any problems are happening here and there, some issues are happening. We have to ask from some authorized devotees, not just see the social media account. Those are all biased. Those are all well planned and biased to waste people's time. So that is all prajalpa, nothing else. That is all prajalpa, nothing else. So we are concerned about ISKCON management. We are concerned about here and there. One is concerned about no, in politics, what is happening in the country, what Pakistan is doing, what China is doing. That is all prajalpa. And especially one has to be careful at this time because social media, their goal is to snatch away our consciousness in such a way that one is not able to do anything. And they'll present things in such a way that it is so dangerous. Like that. So we have to save our time. We have to save our time. So similarly, we have to understand that our time is very precious, and this time has to be invested in hearing and chanting of the glories of the Lord. Other things one has to be very cautious, very careful. Even spending long, unplanned hours in management meeting, that is also present. It is going on and on and on and on and on. If somebody is doing 8 hours management meeting only, GBC deciding the whole year response, no, like that. So I mean, they may decide they have no 1 week or something annual meeting and all that. That is another issue. We are not at that level. Okay, which country, what? No, no. So one has to be very, very planned and strategic. That the majority of our times should go in Krishna Katha, Krishna Kirtan, hearing and chanting and preaching. Material talks have to be very, very and has to be simple. Otherwise, fault finding, opinion making, opinion sharing, all these are present. Therefore, one baseline principle is that okay, let us be absorbed in the service which is given to us. And if you are really concerned about something, better ask an authorized devotee who can give us a very clear account. Otherwise, we'll end up wasting so much of our time. So much of our time. And that also don't hang around. Even if there is a problem, there are devotees who are solving it. One should hang around and meditate on it if we are given the charge to solve it. Is it not? Some temple has some issue in ISKCON. Now we were concerned, we asked about it. We asked, okay, we can offer a prayer to the Lord. Then what to do? Then better focus on your own service. Days and days, months, we should not keep hanging around it. Are we given the service to solve it? No. But we have to understand the devotees are there to solve it. We don't have to worry so much about it. No. What will happen to the future of ISKCON? What will happen to the future of preaching? You don't worry about it. No. So, no, no, so, so we have to be very cautious. We have to be very careful. Okay, then the next one is Niyamagraha. Yeah, Niyamagraha Janasanga. Yeah. And Lalyam, be greedy for material activities. Not Lalyam for association, but greedy for mundane achievements. Yeah, being greedy for mundane achievements. So Niyam Agraha and Agraha, these are two principles which are being spoken. Sometimes people think Niyam Agraha, very, very super meticulous. Huh? We become super meticulous, we become super critical also. So that is why following the rule for the sake of following the rule just for the sake of following it, not understanding that that rule is supposed, I mean, the motive of following that rule was to make us conscious of Krishna, remember Krishna. Uh, that is the point. So just for the sake of following, that is very dangerous. Like Ranand Maharaj one time, like sometimes some devotees, they would not on Ekadashi day or fasting day, they would not drink a drop of water also. They're so renounced. What do you call it? Renounced? What do you call it? Austere. Austere. They're so austere fellows. Austere fellows. And uh, but then one has to watch one thought. Okay, one is not even. I mean, one is not even drinking a drop of water. That is fine. There's nothing. I mean, the purpose of not eating is to save time to do more sadhana. I did not drink even a drop of water on the fasting day. That is not something noteworthy. What one has to note is that how many extra rounds I chanted, how much Krishna Katha I did, how much service I did, how much preaching I did, how much book distribution, Sankirtan. What did I do? Positive. Not that, okay, I didn't even take a drop of water. Purpose was to save time to, better you could have drunk, no, I mean, no, one has not done anything, no. Sometimes, like on fasting, I would see Nejalika, Kadeshi, devotees just asking, hey, fasting, kuch nahi khana? It's 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., not 4 p.m., 5 p.m. तो टाइम हो गया कितना टाइम बचा है बस है ना तुम है ना आई एम डूइंग यू आर डूइंग आई एम डूइंग that is not the purpose of fasting at all. Then one is making oneself more bodily conscious on that day. Better eat 5 minutes something and then go and do seva, like that. So therefore, sometimes, therefore there are sometimes some occasions where very dangerous kind of fastings are there, you know? Yeah, like eating only once in a day, that also rice which you can eat it with your mouth and that much which comes. So so the mind has to be absorbed in Krishna, not in these things. So these become niyam agrahe. That one is too much obsessed about following a principle fanatically that one forgets what it is meant for. And then one becomes critical. So we have to think our thoughts. If one is getting too proud, suppose if one body is able to take it up, one doesn't even drink a drop of water, one can be like this. And if one is thinking, no, you see how advanced I am, all these fallen souls, they are eating prasad here and there, and they are still not able to manage fasting. Such a person should, better eat, and be humble, and then do service while having respect for other Vaishnavas, like that. So blindly one should not follow excessive principles. Sometimes too lofty, too excessive principles. So that's called as niyamagraha. And sometimes some devotees say the other side. They say, okay, let's be practical. ठीक है ये तो अपना ही डिवोटी है ना डिवोटी है बट नो you address and deal like a devotee है ना so sometimes instead of offering obeisances people may just say vancha prabhu vancha sometimes some other they don't even say vancha they just do like this ये क्या यो चल रहा है क्या नहीं प्रभु भी vancha है ना so there is a so one takes shortcuts like that uh, uh, so we take shortcut. That is not good. Then we are doing the niyam agraha, the other side, we are rejecting principles. Sometimes devotees are walking in the temple casually, If you come in the temple hall, you are supposed to offer obeisances. नहीं अपने ही घर है वो ठीक है लेकिन etiquettes are etiquette. Then we are not conscious of Krishna. We are taking Krishna cheaply and lightly. So proper taught, sirs and secretaries. Whenever you see me, you offer obeisances. Because then only you will remind. Otherwise, we'll start seeing things with material vision. That is the problem. So one offers obeisances to see we remember this time 60th anniversary proper festival proper disciples they were all speaking that array nowadays in front of the temple in front of the deities devotees are doing full mela is going on everybody chit chatting everything else oh kya chal raha hai sab chal raha hai like a bharat is going on but proper times they said no devotees do not speak in front of the deities. They would very softly whisper if at all they have to speak something because the deity, the Lord is present. So one cannot take it casually, no? And so proper disciples they were speaking actually. I also heard that first time. Oh, no, I mean Vaishnava etiquette sometimes you hear, but with this kind of pictorial emphasis I heard first time. The proper disciples, they were so conscious. They said, "What is this nowadays in ISKCON temples? What is going on?" It's like niyama grihana. They're not following the principle. The principle is we have to be conscious of the presence of the Lord. If the Lord is present, I cannot just giggle, joke, ha, ooh, the Lord is present. No, one has to be careful. If we have to talk, we should go out. See, that is being Krishna conscious. So the principle follows the principle. So that the principle is to make us Krishna conscious. So we cannot reject also principles. No. So we have to. So the principles have to be followed. Like some devotees say, "Hey, I cannot do so much fasting. Anyways, it is Krishna conscious. So I'll not do fasting only. That is also not a good idea. Because we don't do any tapasya, then we become lazy, cozy, humpty, dumpty, bumpy, dumpy, bumpy, plumpy, clumpy, chumpy. That is what we become. Is it not? So we need to do some austerities. But okay, one is but not to the extent of becoming proud and critical on others. So some boxing to the mind is necessary also. No? So not that okay, then no, we are practical devotees. We don't do any fasting. No? Like I remember one Nirjala Ekadashi, some devotees in front of me, they were taking a feast, and they were taking. I had not gone to them. They had called me and they were talking while they did prasad. Now this evening time, so evening 7 p.m., 8 p.m. They were taking a feast, and they were talking to me, like that, and I was fasting, and it is little, means it's a little, one has to be, so not that one becomes very casual about it, and then they are eating, first serving, second serving, Mahaprasad sweet and all that, and then after half an hour, 45 minutes talking and all that, say, "Hey, तुम fasting कर रहे हो क्या? अच्छा 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 ठीक है करो, So the principle is not that cheap also that it has to be given no weightage. At the same time, the principle is not no, it should not go in so much into the head that we become critical and proud. So one has to not that we don't follow it only, like that. We try to follow like that. So I remember here also the culture of there was one now. So when I had got these stomach erosions and all that, 6 months I was down on the flat on the ground and all that, that time I was not able to do fasting, so I had to give up fasting. So because I had given up, I would see that nobody would do fasting, even breakfast, then that was no, it's a fasting day. It's fasting till midnight or fasting till evening or like that. 8 o'clock devotees are taking feast. Prasad अच्छा बना है, That is also too much. That is also too much, like that. So, uh, so I learned okay. That time my body was very much crumbled. I could not, like that. But when the body became okay, then I learned that I should try, Slowly we tried to do fasting till 12 o'clock. Then we again brought it back, till evening. Then, at Krishna's mercy, again we are able to do Nirjal and all that fasting with all that, this problem, like that. The problem is intense, okay, we won't be able to continue. But the body heals a little bit, again one should start. Because some punch has to be given to the mind, not like that. So that is why both are said. You cannot reject the principles also, but the principles are help us to make us conscious of Krishna, but we cannot take it to the extent of being critical and then forgetting like that. The next point is Janasangha. Now, Janasangha is an so this Janasangha principle is also an important principle. Many times we may be devotees, but we cannot take the opinion of outside people too seriously. Sometimes we take the opinion of outside people too seriously. Yeah, that's Janasangha actually. We take the outsiders' opinions too seriously. Yeah? They may have, because you see, many times outside people they think from material calculations, and we cannot take it too seriously. And sometimes even devotees they are influenced by outside influence too much, you know. Then what they speak is also influenced. Now that association also Janasangha. Like I remember, I had just landed up in Pune, and I was so eager that I have come to Pune now to serve Radhisham Prabhu, and I should get some service to Pune. And I knew that Radhisham Prabhu sacrificed all over Pune, voice preaching for the sake of outstation preaching. And then Radhisham Prabhu had said that time that okay, some outstation devotees will pass out and come back to Pune and revive Pune voices. So I was eager to serve Radhisham Prabhu, and like that. So I was very eager. But then I was hearing devotees were saying, hey, you should not take up any service for next 1 year, 2 years. You first establish yourself in your company, learn, get fit, and this and that. Until we are never fit. And then sometimes I would see devotees, they would be nicely serving, and all of a sudden the devotee has disappeared. He's no more there in the service. Then I would ask, Prabhu, क्या हो गया इसको? This devotee is transferred or something? They said, नहीं नहीं शादी हो गया उसका. शादी हो गया तो क्या हो गया प्रभु जी, ना? तो सेवा के लिए नहीं दिख रहे. तुम नहीं समझोगे, ना? They said, है ना, take it as a thumb rule. किसी का शादी हो गया 3 साल तक गायब है वो, फिर धीमे धीमे दिखाई देगा. अच्छा ऐसा होता है? ऐसा ही होता है. ऐसे तो बहुत डेंजरस है पूरा मैकेनिज्म शादी वादी का, ना. Like that. So you see, this is all. Now you see, person having this kind of mindset. Okay, first stabilize your family, first stabilize your job, first stabilize your footing, first stabilize your this, stabilize your that. It's Janasangha. If we take these kind of, we will hear such kind of comment. But they say take such kind of principles very seriously. Then it is Janasangha, nothing else. That is why in the Shastras also we see, they say, okay, take association of a first class devotee, not a third class devotee. Whom we should hear? We hear of a third class devotee, uh, hear a third class devotee, that is very much Janasangha. Just like we say, no, okay, the womanizer association is more dangerous than a woman's association. Because a woman is not by nature sensual, like that. And not all the time, but a womanizer is all the time very sensual. So womanizer association more dangerous than women's association. Similarly, people who are influenced by these aspects of infatuated by different aspects of material energy, we hear them, we get corrupted. So whom one should hear is very, very clear. Should be very, very clear. One should take association of first class devotee. One whose life and soul is dedication to the spiritual Prabhupada's mission. Such people we should hear. Other things, not to take it very seriously. Other things, not to take very seriously. And it becomes Janasangha. And then the last point is lalyam, greed for material achievements. Many times devotees, sometimes some devotees feel that unless they have degrees, they cannot reach. Absolutely bogus. They feel I need degrees. Without that, I cannot preach. So sometimes the devotees say, oh, like one devotee is telling me, that, oh, you are from IIT, you are a preacher, successful youth preacher because you are from IIT and all that. I also had IIT, IIM, then no, I would have also, been a very successful and big preacher. I'm thinking, to get something. I said, no, Prabhu, don't waste your time. And he said, you can speak because you have everything with you. I said, no. And I was telling this devotee, I was a brahmachari that time. I was telling this devotee, Prabhuji, 6 years I am preaching in IIT. I don't even announce that I am a pass out of IIT. How is preaching going on? Sometimes by mistake they get to know out after 1 year, 2 years. Because those days I would never even say that I'm a pass out of IIT. They would just say, okay, this fellow has come, this fellow, he gives some good classes, you can try him out, if you like him. Otherwise it's okay, like that they would announce. And uh, like that, you can ask him their batch, we would never announce, your batch also, we would never announce, I am from IIT also. Like that. At the end of, sometimes, at the end of second year, they came to know, hey, this fellow is from IIT. would be a eureka for them, like that. So we never even use that. So how preaching was going on? How preaching was going on? Preaching happens with time and availability, not with degrees and accolades, like that. Preaching happens with time and availability. Sometimes, if you see statistically, those years our preaching was more than what we are having no, these days. Is it not? So one of the reasons, yes, one of the reasons was I myself had less services. I had only one service, KGP, like that. Jadavpur, I was crying and somehow I started little, like that. But otherwise, it was only KGP. And then no, again, I was also more available because they were fully available. Now, over the years, there are many other services which are there, many other responsibilities are there also. So many times, preaching is about time. You should not about material achievements. So being too greedy about material achievements is not good idea. One has to be available with time. See, Prabhupada would travel. That is why he would travel to give time to devotees. Today only I was hearing, Radhan Maharaj was telling, quoting Prabhupada's lecture in Cross Maidan. Prabhupada was saying that I am an ordinary person. I am not a very great person also. And I could do so much. All of you Indians, don't be lazy. Take up Krishna consciousness and help people in the midst. Help people all around. I myself, I'm not a very qualified person. I'm a very ordinary person. And so you see the point. The Krishna consciousness doesn't go by material calculations. Krishna consciousness expands by commitment, by time. One of the important aspects of teaching is to give time to people, to be available for people. And that we don't give, then the bombastic things will not work out. People will clap, they'll salute, they'll offer obeisances, they'll take a selfie, they'll go. But they won't take a Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada was not after degrees, accolades, and all those things. Like so, a greed and ambition for that is another thing. Like Bhakti Raghav Maharaj did a PhD. That is another story. Maharaj was not given entrance in the Indian India in the country India for 10 years. So he had to take a PhD to enter India to preach. That is another story. That kind of thing is another story. Not that okay, if one has to preach, one needs a PhD. Nah. One has to be very careful. We need to seriously follow uh, the practices of Krishna consciousness and share. We don't need specialized here and there anything. Actually. So that lolium is dangerous. So you see, this is the whole cycle. Person is lolium. See, all of them are connected to each other. If we do Janasangha, then we get lolium. The falashruti of like we say sa eva sadhu shukrito moksha dwaram apavritam. You go to a sadhu, your attachment will be cut off, you will develop attraction to Krishna. But if you go to mambo jumbo candidates, when third class devotees, the Prabhupada says they more polished terms, like that, then that is Janasangha. And because of Janasangha, we get lolium. And one says, I should get this degree, this thing, that thing, like that. Now for that, now we'll do Atyahar. And many times it may be beyond one's capacity. So one will do Atyahar. So one want to hold things. It is not necessary. So that is why it is Atyahar. Now to get it, prayas. To get it, prayas. And what is the content in Janasangha? Prajalpa. The content in this thing is Prajalpa. And that is how you see all these things are related to each other. Therefore, we have to be very careful whom we want to hear. We don't want to see and evaluate and know the material world from these materialistic people. We should learn what is the material world from the acharyas, from the shastras. That is why they said even if material skills one has to take, better take from devotees who have successfully learned that and shown. Rai Shankar would always say like that. Like Gary Monk was telling, so he got excited in learning photography. So he was learning photography from devotees. What was the result of that? He was dedicated. He joined ashram. So like that, you know. So the BBT photography, you know. So they would make the films, and no, it was a tedious process. Those days, you know. And then from the negative, you have to develop the films in the blue room and all those kind of things, you know. So there was so he was learning photography, you know. So he learned, so he chose to learn it from devotee. Suppose he had learned to go out and get a degree finished, you know, he would not been able to contribute so much what he has done. No, he had been the president of Boston or Connecticut, Hartford, so much, which, you know, he would not have been able to do anything of that sort. You know, had he had gone for a professional degree like that. So therefore, we see that whose words we take seriously is what matters. The Prajalpa, Dhanasanga, that will give volume. Then we will end up into Atyahar Parinas. There is no end to it. That is why these principles, these activities, six kind of activities can spoil our bhakti. One has to be very careful against it. Okay, so let's stop here for today. Sometimes there are issues in ISKCON which ask the attention of every devotee, like ISKCON Bangalore issue. Okay, the Rampu asks all devotees to pray for. Should the temple arrange some program centrally for praying, or individually devotees are praying? Whoever wants. Fine. Or we can arrange in the temple also. We can arrange some slot. We can say, okay, you know, after morning program tomorrow, let's send one round, two rounds, you know, like that. Yeah. But what will go in the zone of uh, uh, but one should not be too much attached and concerned about. You can offer prayers, but then that issues happen, then people are dragging it on. Oh, why did we lose? Now what will happen to ISKCON? Now the other, the upstarts will take up. See, everything is happening. Prabhupada is there on, Prabhupada is present. The acharyas are present, the Krishna is present, this is Krishna's mission. How much the Lord has to allow the entropy, the disturbance, let the Lord decide. Everything is in the control of the Lord. The Lord allowed Hiranyakashipu also to play around for a long time. But within a moment, the Lord killed. So Hiranyakashipu was always in control. It was the Lord was giving him some scope. Okay, play around. So similarly, we have to understand Krishna is like not Narasimhadev. So even if one is doing a disturbance like that of Hiranyakashipu, still that is under the control of the Lord. So nothing to get too much over disturbed that our sadhana goes off. So too much keeping track, keeping up with the news and all that. If you're asked to pray, we can offer prayers. That's good enough. Not to be too much concerned. Achha, what is the case? Where it is? How many years it is happening? What happened? Which court took which decision? What is the sequence chronology? And we are going in a different zone. And we are going off track. So it goes in the zone of Prajalpada for us. So जितना कंसर्न होने बोला गया है कई बार उतना ही कंसर्न होना चाहिए because devotees are already handling it. Okay, if we want to join the handling team, do that service, then it is another thing. Then we should approach the expert, take apprenticeship, and learn and things like that. That is another story. Huh? But otherwise, too much fluffing around is not good. Especially nowadays, this media is very addictive. So we have to be extra careful because the way they present it, it completely saps away the mind. So we have to be extra careful, especially the social media. Very dangerous. We have to be extra careful. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Rupa Goswami Pad ki, Srila